up the front. So I'll hand that over to Mr. Drury.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This paper's a little bit different than I thought it was when I wrote it. This paper alludes to what we normally do is have an audit opinion, which I hand out at the meeting because they're always a little bit late coming, but we do manage to get it by the date of the council meeting. You've heard that we don't have that audit opinion, and you've also heard the reasons why, but what we have distributed is a letter from audit, which clears all matters in the annual report, which is quite a big document, clears all those matters, other than the carrying value of the intangibles, which Jim Scotland covered earlier on. And you've also got an amended resolutions, because of course the resolutions of this paper, certainly the first one can't be put through because we don't have an audited annual report. We have an annual report without an audit report. It's my proposal here to ask this council today to approve the annual report, not adopt it, but approve what we have in front of us. And then this final issue, when it is resolved one way or the other, will allow us to have an audit report, which I'm keen on getting back to this council again, if we can. And you'll notice the resolutions that I handed out, were handed out before the council meeting commenced, allude to an extraordinary meeting, and I've suggested a date there, but obviously it's up to councillors whether that date's appropriate. That's the last date we can have a meeting with the current councillors, and it's the 17th. Beyond that date, if we don't receive an audit report by a few days prior to that, so as we can get it out to you for that meeting, if we don't receive an audit report in that time frame, it will need to the adoption of the annual report will have to go to the new council. So you can see I'm trying to avoid that, but if it happens, it happens. And under the Local Government Act, we do have 4 months, so we can adopt on the 26th of October, which is the inaugural meeting. Just a little bit untidy, so that's my objective. Sorry, Councillor.
Tell me how you can have a meeting, an extraordinary meeting of the current council after the local body elections.
Well, I'll ask our electoral officer to cover that, but I believe we can.
So under the legislation, the old councillors, the current councillors don't leave office until the day after public notification of the result. So if we were not able to get the audit report in time to put that through, then we could still call an extraordinary meeting before that date. If I delay the final notification, if it has come out earlier.
But the final notification generally comes out within a few days of the election result.
It's unofficial, and it's only when the public notice is put in the paper that the current councillors will go out of office and the new councillors come into office the day following.
I see, okay.
I have a question, Chair. So, Paul, do you think this is the right process for us to go through? So that we do, this council do sign off on the audited accounts? That we don't?
Yes, I do, Councillor, and thanks for raising that, because it's a journey. It's a journey, yeah, it is, and you've seen the draft and you've debated it, and even during the year you've debated the aspects of performance and things to ask.
On the 17th, you think we would have it by then?
Well, Jim Scotland has alluded to having discussions already with Stephen Lucy, so Jim's hopeful of getting appropriate wording for HBRC as soon as he gets that, and then we roll it up into our accounts.
And he's only concerned about those contingencies, those HBRC contingencies. That's
only one issue.
Only one issue.
Only one issue.
And does he just need a number there?
Well, no. The issue is the audit believe they have yet to be persuaded that an impairment isn't appropriate on that intangible asset. My understanding is HBRC board feel as though an impairment isn't needed. So if they continue to disagree on that point, then the audit report will reflect that issue in either a qualified report or a note to to the report, which
Yeah,
I think
we don't
perhaps
want-
is a
we
note.
don't want a qualified report.
No, I would suggest it'll come out as a note.
Could we do it earlier? Could we do it in the week commencing the 10th? That would just, I mean, the public, if you have to hold that, that's not going to be a good look.
We will be able to do it as soon as they get the wording right. And I'm hopeful that is sooner than the 17th, very much so. But the reason I put a date in here is I know it's difficult for you to just decide to drop things and meet urgently, although...
Well, could we meet on the 14th and
Yeah,
put,
yeah.
and put pressure on everybody and say, we have got to do this by the 14th?
Yeah, no,
You don't have to
I'm
hold
perfectly
it.
relaxed. And the 17th was just a suggested date, and obviously you need to look at your diaries and it's got to fit in and what have you. So the 14th would be...
Well, actually, it's got to
Fine.
work with the auditor. The auditor's the one.
Yeah.
Most of us can gather.
I think advice on a date is something that could come subsequent to this meeting, because it's going to challenge all of us, no doubt. We've all got appointments early in the...
I'd just ask why the 14th rather than 17th. The 17th gives time to actually work through the issues of HBRC, isn't giving time the important thing.
Well, because
Well, it's
It's no
preferable.
difference the fact that the actual election is held finishes on the 8th.
Just a follow-up question I had, Mr. Drury, was other than the investigation work that the auditor's got to do and the satisfaction gathering, whatever they call it, for want of a better explanation, how much writing do they have to do? I mean, how long does it take them to say, right, here's our opinion, here's our audit?
Well,
response?
it's difficult for me to answer it on behalf of the person that's writing it, but...
They've written everything else.
Yeah,
I
my
suspect they would.
my experience is normally the audit report is somewhat standard. However, it won't be standard this time. There's going to be something in there by way of a note or whatever. That needs to be written. It needs to be liaised with HBRC, which obviously can take time. It also, I believe, would need to go to the Auditor General to validate the note. So you are talking a little bit of process here. But I take your point. I mean, it should be days, not weeks.
It seems that we're heading towards trying to get a set of accounts which there's no qualification on them. That's the objective here. I want to know what is actually the problem with a set of accounts that are audited, done, and have a qualification which is clearly defined and clearly stated.
Well, there isn't, Councillor. I just need to get that report from Mr. Lucy, and at the moment he's not giving me a report, be it qualified or not. So, because I believe Mr. Lucy believes that he may be able to get increased confirmation from HBRC, so as he doesn't need to take that action. But from my discussions, I think that's probably becoming more and more difficult. They need to draw a line on it, I believe. Yeah.
So let's put this to one side just for now, because we've got to come back to resolutions. Are there any other questions?
Could we do it over a conference call?
Legally, we can't, no. Look, we're focusing on the end game, if you like. Are there any questions around the adopting the annual report, even though it's not audited? Are there any questions amongst any of the other issues that are outlined here? Has anyone got any questions? Councillor Dick, I'll go around the table. Councillor Hewitt, have you got any concerns, questions other than this?
No, because I think we covered it pretty thoroughly in our Finance Audit and Risk Committee, so I'm happy.
Thank you, Councillor Graham. You're happy to do that. Councillor Scott, where are you on that? You good? Councillor Pipe. Perfect. That's good. Thank you. You like to have a reunion after the election. Thanks, Mr. Moy. So you're happy, Councillor Belford. So let's perhaps... Okay, so that's in the letter that came out. So you're happy to move 1.1? Someone happy to second that? You're happy, Councillor Pipe? Anyone wish to speak to that, Councillor Scott?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, at this stage, it is a tentative date. We don't know the timing of it. It'd be very silly to try and put dates that are going to have to be brought back, better to have dates that could be brought forward. So feel that that's a pragmatic solution, and I certainly look at the practice of this council that was responsible for that spending, be the ones that are responsible for the report on it. I do not think it is the place of a new council to have to adopt somebody else's annual report.
Thank you. Councillor Pipe, you wish to add anything?
No, I was just going to say about it being tentative, that particular date. Obviously, it would be better if we could actually bring that meeting date forward, but it'll all depend.
Yeah, we can't tie others into it. Yeah, Councillor Graham, sorry. Excuse me.
I suppose I have to agree with that in the end, but I'm just very conscious that we don't want to put Leanne or any one of our staff in the invidious position of holding back information because of other reasons such as this. So as soon as we can do this, the better, not longer. And I'd put pressure on the different protagonists, which is Jim and the auditor, to get this done. So we're not putting our staff in that position of keeping the information under the desk, because it won't look good.
No. Other speakers wish to sum up? I'll put the motion, then all those in favour please say aye. And to the contrary, no. Carried. Thank you.